In this video, we shall calculate together how much it will cost you to establish 1,000 catfish farm. That is by using one pond, and then how much the total cost of that to raise them from fingerling to harvest, and how much you are expected to get within 1 year period. Before we proceed, bear in mind that catfish takes averagely 6 months, and a year has 12 months. So if you are smart and are able to grow your fish bigger enough and early, it means that within the year, you are going to produce 2 times. So we are going to calculate the cost of raising them each time and the expected profit or outcome. Then you can compare and see whether the venture is profitable or is something that you are ready to take. But also bear in mind that the calculations are going to be based on factors, which we shall outline some of the factors. Because I'm telling you this so that you will know that this is just going to be a guide. And when you're establishing, you may have a little differences, either more or less of that cost. However, generally, it's going to guide you a lot. If you are watching me for the first time, my name is Abdulaziz Issa. I welcome you. All we do in this channel to share fashion tips based on our experience and research. And if you're a returning viewer, I thank you so much. If you are not subscribed to this channel, kindly consider doing so because the channel is all about learning fish farming or aquaculture. Now, like I said, we are considering 1,000 catfish farm. Now put the 1,000 here. So anything that we are calculating against 1,000. So the first thing is, but before then, our calculation is going to base on setting up the fish farm at the backyard. At the backyard, because that's the starting point. Probably you start and then you grow. And because you are starting at the backyard, there are certain costs we will not factor that in. For instance, land acquisition or source of water or tapping electricity. These things we are not featuring in them because we assume that if it is a backyard, you probably have your land already, then your water source, the water that you are using for drinking at home, you can equally use that, and then your electricity. So we are not going to cover that. But of course, we will add electricity bill if you are going to use pumps, but those ones are optional. So now let's move in and see how it is going to go. The first thing you will have to look for is fish pond. And the fish pond is in several forms. But generally, at backyard, we either use tarpaulin fish pond or concrete fish pond. Both has their advantages and disadvantages. But here, we are going to concentrate on tarpaulin fish pond. So, assuming you are going to purchase the tarpaulin fish pond, and the price also varies because the quality of the ponds also varies. That's why I'm saying that some of the costs will vary. Here, we are basing the calculation in northern part of Ghana and in Tamale to be precise. However, within Ghana, this is applicable. And it can guide even those who are not within Ghana. Most of my viewers are from Nigeria, which I'm fully aware. And this video can still guide you, even though I will consider making a separate video for those in Nigeria, how to establish it. But here we are in Ghana, and we are going to calculate that in cedis. So, like I said, the prices vary. But the one I buy and install, the 1,000 capacity pond is 3,800 Ghana cedis. 3,800 Ghana cedis. It could be less or more depending. And like I said, take note. I don't sell tarpaulin ponds. I'm there to learn that. But I do buy from those who sell them and establish for farmers. Now, fish pond costs 3,800 Ghana cedis. The next thing you will also consider is fingerlings. For a complete beginner, he might not know what fingerling is. Fingerlings are the small fish that you buy and put them in your pond and give them feed till they get to maturity. That's fingerling. There are also different sizes. We have fry, we have post fry, we have fingerlings, we have post fingerlings, we have juvenile, we have jumbo. We mentioned as a beginner, it is recommended to use juvenile, but we almost interchange them, juvenile and fingerlings. So I'm saying fingerlings, but you can use juvenile. And juvenile, they are a little bigger than fingerlings. But if you use or if you start with them, at least because they are a bit stronger, they can survive your environment. But when they're so smaller, like they just recently hatched, they're fry, they still need good care. And if not, those who are hatching and they can take care of them very well, if you take them in your farm, you are likely to lose them. Now, fingerlings, uh, I said the price depends, but it's 1 cedi, 50 pesos here. So now, if there's 1 cedi, 50 pesos, let's multiply that by 1,000. So 1 cedi, 50 pesos times 1,000, we are going to get 1,500 Ghana cedis. 1,500 Ghana cedis. Take note, we are going to calculate the totals. Now, the third thing, which is crucial and the most costly when it comes to fish farming, guess it before I mention that. Guess it. Have you guessed that? It takes about 70% of the cost. And this kicks a lot of people out of the business. Because if you don't plan it well, that's where you're going to fail. And that is fish feed. Fish feed. The feed is costly. Now, someone commented on my video this morning, one of the videos, and told me that I should tell them how much it takes to feed fingerlings to maturity. I told him that I have countless videos on that, even though I have not had separate video on that. But most of the video I will mention. And this video is one. So my brother, if you are watching, take notes. Now, the fish feed depends on the size of the feet, because some of the feet are 20 kilograms in weight. Some are 15 kilograms. Some are lesser, depending. But here we are going to calculate for 20 kilograms. And the nutrient level of the commercial feed also varies. And the quantity of feed to also use also depends on how you want to raise your fish. The amount of weight that you want to raise your fish to. Averagely 1 kilogram. That's what we are calculating now. And to do that, you need to get 30 bags of feed. That's the 20 kilograms of 30 bags. It could be lesser or more. Like I said, you could use more or less depending on circumstances. But let's assume 30. But 30 is the average one. Yes, and per my experience. So if we are looking at 30, and each bag, 30 bags. So 30 times 330 cedis. Now note, the price also varies depending on the brand and the size of the feed. My previous video, I mentioned the brand that sell at 330, but because of the fact that I don't want to fall into trouble because the brand has not asked me, I will not mention the brand in this video. So now this is 330 bucks. I am going to multiply by 330, and that one to the smaller palleted size, 1 mm, 2 mm, 3 mm, they are around 300 Ghana cedis. But 5 mm and above, that's 330. So we are just going to take the 330. And please note, it keeps increasing. Like 2024, the middle, around middle of 2024, it was 260 Ghana cedis. And it was just increasing. By the time we ended 2024, it got to over 300 Ghana cedis. So that is the case. So now, if you multiply 330, you are going to, by 330 by 30, you are going to have 9,900 Ghana cedis. That's the most costly aspect of the production. That's what I was telling you. Now, if you are starting with this, these are the major things. Once you acquire this, your farm is established. We can put the statistics together. However, there are certain things that can help or that can complement the production to make it more easier and affordable. For instance, if you're using this simple method, you will constantly have to change the water in the pond. Every 2-3 days, you will have to change the water. And this also costs you. Assume you are buying water from tanker, where you have to pay somewhere 600 Ghana cedis or more to get one tanker. Or you have to change your water, let's even say every week. Calculate the cost, my brother. It will not be easy. So, if you have abundant water, and you think you can also have the time to continue change the water, then you can just have a setup like this and you proceed. But without abundant water, and also take note, if you're using the Metropolitan Assembly water, I will also highly recommend that you put the system in place. That's what I'm here to mention, to ensure that you don't constantly change the water, because that Metropolitan water Assembly water is dangerous for your fish, especially if you are putting it directly to the fish. If you have to use that one you need to take it somewhere, expose it after 24 hours or more, then you can put it in. Now, if that is the case, you will also need to establish or to install recirculating aquatic system. Let me say install RAS, recirculating aquatic system. And this system, it built with flotation system and aeration system. These two systems together, flotation and aeration. The flotation will be taking the insoluble particles and be reusing that same water. And then the aeration will be adding oxygen to the pond. Oxygen is very important because the fish depends on the dissolved oxygen in the water to survive. So inadequate oxygen can suffocate and kill all your fish. So it's so important. So if you have these two systems together, you will run the farm. You will not only run without saving or without changing the water, but you will also grow the fish bigger, because this makes the fish healthy and they grow bigger. And you can even stop more fish within a little space because you are filtering and adding them oxygen. And this depending on the setup. But what I set up generally, it could be lesser or more, but generally is 3,000 Ghana cedis. 3,000 Ghana cedis. Let me add the symbol so that you will differentiate the monies from other items. So now, if we install recirculate aquatic system, there's no doubt that we will need electricity, because generally it uses two pumps, submersible pumps, the aerator one and then the filtration one. But the good news is that it consumes less, because the aerator pump, which is the bigger, mostly is 85 watts, and the smaller one, which is for flotation, is 15 watts. So when you put both together, that's 100 watts, just like normal bulb consumption. So it consumes less. And electricity of this system, I will estimate 50 cedis per month. I said it consumes less, 50 cedis per month. And if I consider that 50 cedis, and like I said, we relate it to 6 months. So we have six, that's 6 months. So 50 times 6, that's 300. So we get 300 Ghana cedis. I'm fighting all this so that we know the actual cost. Now, let's look at contingency or other expenses. You might need medication, you might need detergents, you might need scooping nets, and these petty things. Salt, they cost less, but they also help you, so you need to get some of them. So I will just put other expenses, and let me estimate 500 Ghana cedis. So if we put all this, we need to add everything together. Now this is all. You can have others, but you can classify this. These are the major costs. Now let's put everything together to see how much it's going to cost us. Now total. So 3,000 Ghana cedis, 3,800 Ghana cedis plus 1,500 Ghana cedis plus 9,900 Ghana cedis plus 3,000 Ghana cedis plus 300 Ghana cedis plus 500 Ghana cedis. We have total of 19,000 Ghana cedis. This is our expected expenditure for beginning with 1,000 capacity fish pond. So take note. Now, these are the major things. The total expenditure, how much we spend to acquire this established and to raise them to maturity. Let's now calculate for the profit or the outcome. Outcome, abbreviated outcome. I said expected because it might not be exactly. Now, before we can know the expected outcome, we need to first of all calculate for mortality rate, mortality. Because the reason is that there's no way you can raise the 1,000 fish to maturity without losing some or without some dying. You definitely have some dying. And as a beginner, if you do your homework very well and you learn very well, you can manage mortality up to 20% rate. So mortality rate, this is mortality rate, 20%. And if you are raising mortality rate to 20%, that is if you do your homework very well, and then 20% of 1,000 will, you will, 20% of 1,000, you will have 200 fish. So you are likely to lose 200 fish out of that for a beginner if you do your homework very well. It could be lesser or more, yes. Probably you might want to know how to calculate to get to the mortality rate. We'll have a separate video on that. However, this, to get it, you just multiply 1,000 times 0.20, because percentage wise, it means that this is 20 over 100, which is 0.20. Just briefly, but you understand. Now, we will lose 200 fish. So 200 fish, the remaining fish, you have 1,000 fish minus 200. So you are going to have remaining fish to be 800 fish. So if you get 800 fish remaining, it's amazing and absolutely good. So now let's calculate how much you can sell to get the total price or the total outcome of 800. Now the price depends, but here, though we recently increased it to 50 cedis per kilo, however, most of the consumers still buy at 45 Ghana cedis. To 45 Ghana cedis, we increase it to 50 Ghana cedis, but some still buy it at 45 Ghana cedis. So I will not calculate with 50, I will calculate it with 45 Ghana cedis. So the price per kilo. Remember, you are raising each fish to 1 kilogram. Some will be less, some will be more, but let's assume everything here will be 800 kilograms. So now, so we have 45 cedis times 800. So the total sales will be 36,000. 45 times 8, that's 36,000 Ghana cedis. You can be pressing your calculator. Now this is the total sales. Now, is that all? Now let's see our net profit. This is how much we've gotten. And we spent 19,000. So to get the net profit, so net profit is income minus expenditure. So net profit, our income as at now is 36,000 Ghana cedis minus expenditure, which is 19,000 Ghana cedis. So our net profit therefore is, so take the difference, 17,000 Ghana cedis. My brother, does it worth it to start fish farm? But disclaimer, I am not telling you that, or I am not guaranteeing you that if you establish 1,000 catfish farm and you're going to make profit of 17,000 within 6 months. But what I can guarantee is that if you follow the steps and learn very well, and you produce your fish very well, you will get this figure or even more or a little lesser. Like I said, depending on the cost of production and how you manage your farm. And please note, to reduce costs, some things are not necessary. But I could see a lot of beginners, including myself, falling victim of that. That is always buying medication, which is costing a lot. Yesterday I checked the store, just one antibiotics, and it was 60 Ghana cedis. But most of these things, if you have proper water quality management, you don't need them. So you can reduce that cost. So this is it for the first month. Even this is huge money, but it is not exciting. The exciting one will be our second harvest, that was the next 6 months. And the reason is that because we have acquired some of the items already, we are not going to buy them. So our cost of production will be reduced and our outcome will increase. Therefore, we'll make more profit at the next harvest. So continue watching as we calculate for the next stocking and then how much we'll make from that. I know the video is lengthy, but it's worth it. If you are not subscribed, please kindly consider doing so. Now, second harvest or second farm. Now, earlier we purchased fish pond. The fish ponds, they are durable if you keep them well. So we don't need fish pond again. So we will just jump to fingerlings, which we said earlier, 1 cedi 50 pesos times 1,000, which we had 1,500 Ghana cedis. So let's assume it's still the same. Now feed. I said in the beginning or earlier that we need 30 bags and the cost is 330 Ghana cedis. So 30 bags times 330 Ghana cedis. So again, we are going to need 9,900 Ghana cedis. And before we proceed, please take note. Don't let the fee to scare you. Like I said, it's always taking the higher cost. You can begin by not buying the fish feed in bulk. Just buy a few bags or only one bag and then you keep buying. I'm saying this because if you look at almost putting 12,000 or more to start the farm, it might be a big issue for you. But if you buy one bag, the cost will reduce drastically and you keep buying. But for the purpose of this learning, it is just to tell you how many feed that you need. So you can go. Now, this is it. Third one. Now, recycled aquatic system has been installed and is still working. So we don't need that one to as well. But we need electricity to power that. So electricity, I said earlier that we will estimate 50 Ghana cedis per month and we raise up to 6 months. So if you multiply 50 by times 6, we are going to have 300. So 300. Now, this is it. So other expenses, for other expenses, you still need some things. But because you purchased other things earlier, like scooping net, they are there already. So our other expenses will now reduce to 400 Ghana cedis instead of 500 at the beginning. So adding them together, the total 1,500 plus 9,900 plus 300 plus 400 will give us 12,100 Ghana cedis. 12,100 Ghana cedis. Believe me, it has reduced. When we're setting up, we set up with 19,000 Ghana cedis. Now 12,100. You see why I told you that the cost of production will reduce. Fish pond gone. Installation of RAS gone. Now these are the things that are remain. So 12,100 Ghana cedis. So let's now calculate our outcome to see our net profit, how much profit we are expecting. Expected outcome. Again, we look at mortality rate. Like I said, even as experienced farmer, you will still lose some fish. But if you're experienced, now that you have your first harvest, second harvest, you have learned. You now know what to do and what not to do to avoid mortality. And for that matter, you can now reduce mortality to 10% or less. Yes, experienced farmers are sometimes able to reduce mortality lesser than 10%. And if that's the case, it means that the mortality rate, if you calculate 10% of 1,000, you are going to have 100 fish dead. 100 dead fish. So if you subtract 100 from 1,000, you are going to get 900. So now you have 900 fish raised to 1 kilogram each. Like I said, some will weigh more than 1 kilogram, some will be lesser. But when you put them together, you will get 900 kilograms. So now you have gotten 900. Let's look at the sales. Like I said, price, I'll just take the 45 times 900 Ghana cedis. So how much are you going to get? 45 times 900, that is 40,500 Ghana cedis. Wow, 40,500 Ghana cedis. This is the sales that you make from 1,000 fish pond. Now, this is our net profit. We still have to take out our cost of production to know our actual profit. So our net profit will give us, net profit is outcome or profit, we can say, or outcome or income. This is our income minus expenses or expenditure. Let me abbreviate it. So our net profit will give us 40,500 minus our cost of production, which was 12,100. So for our net profit, therefore, is 28,500 Ghana cedis. 28,500 Ghana cedis. I don't want to be pressing my calculator to waste time. Yes, I've calculated so you can be confirming. So, as you can see, this is your second harvest, and this is how much you're going to make. Now, for the full year, let's add the first harvest. Let's add the first harvest profit. So net profit for the first harvest. Net profit for first harvest. We had, it was 17,000. So let's add 17,000 to 28,500 Ghana cedis. So total net profit for the entire year. It's rather 28,400. So I calculated it wrongly. So 28,400 actually. So you can confirm the calculation. However, you can tell you have learned how to do the calculation. So now the other profit was 17,800. So let's put them together. 45,000 45,400 Ghana cedis. So this is the total your net profit within the year, 45,400. That is for 2 seasons. We have taken the expenses out already. Now, this is inspirational, yes, but don't be surprised if I tell you that a lot of farmers enter into this and they quit because of challenges. So there are challenges. But if you learn and do your homework very well, you are good to go. And mind you, the calculation and setup I've done for you is very affordable. That's why you can contact us whatever part you are in Ghana to give you this service. Because when we're establishing our farm somewhere to 2023, the setup of the full pond, 1,000 capacity, pond 30 bars of feet. And that time the bars were even 15 kilograms, and it was priced in 260 Ghana cedis that time. And those staffs, the full setup, each cost us 23,850 Ghana cedis at that time. So I'll not mention the company that sold it for us. Look at that time till now. And now I am giving you an offer or calculating an offer for you for the complete setup I calculated. It was 19,000 Ghana cedis. So at that company, I believe by now you should be hitting 30,000. So that's the difference. So if you set up lesser, then the expenditure will be less and the income will be more, and you can make more profit. Like I said, and I keep saying, do your homework very well. Learn the do's and don'ts. If not, when you push huge money into it, you'll lose everything. So that's how I have a guide, comprehensive guide to fish farming from setup to harvest. This is a ebook that contains almost everything that you need to set up as a beginner. Planning your farm, that one even has to do with land selection and all that, till setting up the farm, managing the farm, harvesting, and marketing. All are in that book. You can check it out in the description for a few dollars. Just $10. I also have this system course. So if you are far away, you can learn. It's online videos, step by step, everything's explained. You can watch it, set up your own farm, and you're good to go. And that one, the link in the description. Super affordable. It's $75, and I've given you 30% discount for the few who are going to enroll first. So come first, come safe. First come, first serve. So come and enroll. The links are also in the description. I thank you so much. If you have found this video inspirational, don't forget to hit the subscription button, turn on notification, so anytime we release an educative video like this, you will be notified and you can watch and learn. Thank you.